Hi everyone. So this is the live session, the Pytest. So far we have five live sessions, last five, and I would say the there were some steps like I was not audio quality was. I also received that we are facing. I to say obvious quality day by day in content to ever a part of the concern. Now the last 5 days we have covered file pages also. Those were the things that did so far. The this session we are going to cover login stream and the upcoming we'll see hoods and we'll also integrate AI LLM. We'll see how we can utilize formatting our framework. Also some plugins like Flickr and kind of thing. So that was just brief detail. Start with the today's session. Let's move to VS Code and let's start coding. So yeah, was the thing that we had done so far. We had so we have created a test folder in the test on test.py. Then pages where we create login file.py. We also integrated reports as a report, and we shifted all our test stage details test folder test file. We are just we also see pytest.py requirement.th kinds of file that file these. So today we will start with the logging thoughts that what is logging, how we can create logging in our framework, and what kind of log we capture. So these are the kind of that we are going to see over the few sessions focused on understanding how PyTest actually works. Started with conf.py. I mentioned that like many business think that it's just Python file. It's not. In a real automation more than that. like file the Pytest that automatic or looks for whenever done in our test. So like suppose need browser test mention mention questions by that. Instead of creating browser inside every single test case, it created a driver with once and then get the PyTest get wherever it was needed. Created a like Chrome, Edge, and whenever our test is executed, first Chrome called and then Edge. We are using parameter. Earlier we had written all the code in our test to login.py. So I would say that one of the common mistakes starting it is that they write all code test file. Even I had started with that was just from starting the automation. But to be honest, that's not really the purpose of the test file. The responsibility of test type the so here our uh, login page dot task is get with the all the login page login. Now there can be hundreds of files and files. There can be well, so we call any of the file can just that is been defined in that particular file, and with the help of that method, all the page where full business like so far we have just created one file and that's why we need the page object model because created login test of file.py. The help of this is how to perform the action login while our test file test under login.py type what needs validated. So yesterday we did our photo from writing or organizing them proper created means just like unfed pages, codes, skills, test data, and we also describe organizing the it becomes important as a number. Now, apart from that, we also see the reports created our reports, LEO report. So far, we have just integrated simple reports. Coming days, we will integrate reports with timestamp also. Like on every execution, our report with the timestamp so that we can compare in test case with test case was passed or case was failed. So because this brief tell that we have done what we are going to build this session divided into parts. First, we will try to separate our data from login file into test data folder, and after that we will integrate the login, and then we will integrate the screenshots. Again, as we are just at the starting phase of automation, a bit simple. The upcoming sessions I will integrate and filter for fetching the data. But now we are just testing the scenario. We are sending positive username and positive login data, and we are checking whether login is not. So we have hard coded this so far. So let's start with test underscore data. Get so I'm so what we are doing, that we are doing not going to shift our data from login under file login under data dot and get CSV data of data for testing. We'll find those things for data. Okay, suppose there is another file, then we will add another. Suppose we have dashboard, so we can just get another. The benefit of getting separate data for test case is that maintain them. This is file again. We will face issue maintainability. But if there is separate files for uh, handle them, so we just created login underscore data admin is the user also send add a password. That data that and now instead of hard coding here, we are passing those. We are saving this data in the store data it here what we are doing just capture variable file. Now what's the benefit of using so suppose in case we have files that file instead of we have any field here admin one password is instead of changing at places we just have change here selected in all the files where we are using the data apps of maintaining the data set and creating folder and structure created our data we put the file python put it file name now one thing that I would like to tell we are neither defining any class nor any method so we can directly import it using the variables name dot log put url password let's send let's converts the Python file our data way, and the step like where our data is sent. But as I already told in the starting that in the future casually move in the data from file CSV file or JSON, but at how we can maintain the data. And from here a common interpretation is that why should test data be separated as we can write the same. So I think the answer will that separating the test data help us in maintainability. They already 100 in the, and it allows us to the data which all the file that will be used those data. So that was one of the benefit. Now another question that lies that credential can be directly stored inside these kinds of files. So technically, yes, we can store any data in our login store data.py, but not practice because those are like confidential data, and we will see how to handle those credentials. So so far we have made our framework now cleaner from the point we have started. Earlier we had written all our test underscore login.py file in all our code in this file. Then we move it to this file, and then we separate our test data. Now the next part is that when type the Pytest command, what exactly happens? How do we know what's happening internally? Like we know that browser is opening, it is entering username admin and then password admin123, and then it is clicking on the login button. But what if the test pass or test fails? How can we know what happens between? How can we trace the like entire stuff step by step? And that's where logging come into place. So yeah, our here and getting the dot file. Now before we start with the logging, the command like pytest and Pytest then goes to test underscore data dot py. From there it goes to login py, login page dot py, our page file login. From there it goes to login data, fetches the username, password. Then it comes back to login.py, login page.py, enter the data saves. Now I have given wrong username and password. If pass like admin12 instead of our that password at 123, then our test failed. But have to the log. One thing is that here in the terminal we can see that what was failed, but when we have to share with someone, cannot share the terminal detail. So to solve those problems, logging come into the picture. Now start creating logging. So we are already aware that in folder we create those kinds of files or modules that are reusable throughout the framework. We are going to create our login file because it's going to be used throughout the framework for all the files. So and for it, so here we created a file loader.py the utils folder, and here we will define all our logic that will capture the dot detail of a framework. Start create. I will just I'll first create the file and then I will write in detail that what I have detail. So these are like most generic and common way of writing the login files, and I am also using as I've already as such no huge complex. We just write a couple of lines in order file and we just put wherever we want to capture the lots. Suppose if our log folder is not like right now, our log folder is not existing. That's the case. Then let's first create log folder. For that we are writing that if quest dot path dot exist, if the folder exists or not. If it does not exist, then dir In the first two line, we are going to set if the lot folder of framework, not if it not exist, get the. Then afterwards, we are going to write the logic for capturing out of the file. Can use table name order login dot finding the table or which different available like we will see all this detail. Now login is one of the tools of and now here we are creating the file lots lots full thoughtful all the log. Now comes part that we are going to capture format that is being provided. And now here we will define the timestamp or message or whatever detail that we want to print. I will just for now time that at which time detail was table name. Table will be obviously debug because that's what time above table name. And now our message. So these are that we are capturing our dot file time table name message. We are in S SC time like ascending time. It will capture the lots in ascending file ascending order. Then label name whatever we message whatever the message is. Then we will the like basic login that we have written to capture the thoughts. Now we will go to our file where we want to capture file. So here we will first import our loader. While we are importing log, now this is the case some fails, then we can track that at our. Test. Now or let's and from real life that how login works. Suppose we are tracking online food order and that application does not simply that right. Let's suppose we are using a grocery delivery app and we are tracking our order. I've seen the order, sorry, detail on the, then it simply does not just show us order delivery. Actually, starting to last that order order placed, order out delivery, order out for delivery, order placed, and pick the order. What these messages are showing? Messages are actually lots. Without lots, you understand the entire journey. But with what exactly is logging? Logging is basically like capturing important event that is happening in our automation script, and instead of like asking ourselves or going through the terminal logs that what exactly happens with the command pytest, we can just simply ask the framework to capture all the detail in this file and from here. Now why get a log folder? That's like very common question. And why not simply get the log file inside the utils? Because we are creating the logger file here. As I have already told, that util folder contains the code, um, code that is going to be used throughout the framework in multiple files. We will write our code for many other pages like profile, dashboard, attendance. So all those files, the login detail, sorry, log detail, and hence we are keeping skills as that is standard, as that is a practice of in the files. And if we the lots folder, basically output is different, both kind of file nature, and hence we are them separate code, and this is output of the automation framework that we run. Now let's take another example, like we are using camera in our phone. Camera takes the photographs, and photographs are stored in the album. Can we keep our photograph inside the camera forever? No. Once we close the camera, the photo is gone. Similarly, loader.py works. So even if we close the VS Code and next time, our detail will be saved here. This is the photo that we click with the help of this camera. Now coming file loader.py. So we are using generic name as it can help us identifying that what's the purpose of this file. So starting we type import login, import OS, and then some couple of. Now let's understand each line. Why we are doing lines capture the. port loading module that is being provided by the Python. Module is provided by Python, and hence we don't need to call anything. Don't need to call like pp that we did with Pytest or HTML report or LU report, anything. Um, and since it is Python provided by Python, so there is no extra dependency. Then we are importing OS. Why do we need OS? So because we are going to check whether a log folder exists or not in our automation. That can be done with the help of OS, and log folder does not exist, then create it. After importing the packages, we have started with writing the main code. That is the def get underscore loader. So why I'm intentionally creating function? Because I don't want to write like setting up code inside a page class. If we have here 10 files, then instead of writing the loader detail 10 files, I've just created a simple file and will import in files wherever I need it. Login page, employee page, attendance page, dashboard page, wherever we want to capture the log, just have to import the loader in this way, and just capture module and use the. That's the benefit. Now, as I already told you, clients are trying to check whether the log folder exists or not. If it does not exist, then it will create one. If it exists, then strip. That's why we are using the not os not path dot logs. Now about throughout the frameworks that we have set up, we are trying to follow one simple principle: avoid repeatability as much as possible and use stable code. um, and that's the benefit of writing automation standard. Now coming to the next line, loader is equal to loading dot get loader underscore name. And this is like one of the most copied line when start writing the loader dot py. Really copy it. Now let's begin. I mean, let's break it down. What exactly line? So loader we can of it is kind of notebook, and every time something happens, we write inside the notebook. And what name is doing, Python automatically provide this variable, and it contains the name of the trend module. That way, suppose tomorrow we uh, get multiple pages like dashboard, employee page, in order know that where the module is coming from. So this help us in identifying the name of the trend module, that from where the tail has been captured. Now here we are setting up the label that login.debug can set it as a info debug. um, and when it comes to setting up the label, it creates a lot of confusion. Now let's understand what exactly it means. Want order record debug message and everything more important than debug, then we define debug. And if we want info, then we just have to use the info and it will capture everything after that. Here the important thing is that every message will not become info. I am only saying that we are going to record the message from this level on, debug, info, whatever we find the label here. Now there are five labels in real. First is the debug, then info, then warning, then error, critical. They are called the Lord labels, and every message has priority. Now, if we find the label as debug, then it's debug and everything after that. If we are defining info, then it will again consider everything on in and after that. Now, suppose our debug label to have changed it debug. Sorry, I mean I've used debug, but one thing that we can get here is doing info. Why? Because this different, like in loader we are using but here info. That I'm trying to record every debug and above it, but I am writing here loader.info the username. So what exactly happening is Python record it as info because we called it loader.info. If we had defined it as loader.debug, then it would have print both should, and then we can write dot message. Now coming to the next line, here we are handling the file. File handler is equal to login.file handler. What is file handler? Imagine let's imagine a scenario where we are hiring some, only job is to write message in the file. That work is done by file handler. It is just writing all the messages in the dot dot log. How a message look like SC time, that means label and then message. Here, that's how it is captured. 1919 order message label. So that's what formatter is doing. Just the message format. Now coming to the next line, here we are connecting the formatter with the file handling. That means we are not setting this line. Python will called formatting message. Now the last line is loader.handler file name. Sorry, loader.add file underscore handler. So we have created someone who knows only how to write lots. Now we are connecting that writer to our loader, and that if not loader.hand, sorry I missed this line, was for right avoiding the, if there is duplicate load then avoid it. Every time the loader is created, another handler gets attached one message, then four, then eight. This small check prevent those duplicate entries. and then here we are returning loader, immediately capturing loader is loader and first import loader variable. Then we are trying to print dot message. So let's see once again. So wrapping up, I hope this time it will, but the dot file. Yeah. Now we can see the debug is captured. So code that how to set up the lot and how can automation capture the lot at every. Uh, that's it for today. If I find this feedback in the comment for code is the